I find it interesting that people are always told we should wake up early and get our grind on and do everything we need to do, start our day. Like, I don't know, every like guru of some sort of content creator is talking about wake up at 5 a.m., do this, do the billionaire lifestyle. And I'm just wondering where all this came from. Because I know for the longest time in human civilization and history, we've had to wake up early to get our work done. And of course, that probably stemmed because we didn't have the wonders of electricity and lighting other than candles many, many years ago. So you would obviously have to wake up early to get your farm work done or whatever you were doing at 6 a.m. because that's when the sun came out, and the sun would go back down, at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. So you couldn't really work past that time because you couldn't see what the hell you were doing. But fast forward a few years and we get electricity and ways to stay up at night and a light in the fridge and all that kind of stuff. And then you start getting people like me who did exist before and didn't exist in such capacity. And what I mean by people like me is night owls. From pretty much the beginning of my life, I was a person who had a bad relationship with sleep. In the sense that I didn't need as much as other people. I didn't want it, I didn't crave it. I was the chronic 2 a.m. sleeper from the get-go. Even as a kid, I didn't have a bedtime that was anywhere near the other kids. My friends would go to bed at 9 p.m. I would go to bed at 10:30 or 11. And that was partially because of my parents also going to bed that late. But I also wouldn't have been able to go to sleep earlier if I tried. But what that also did in turn is that made me hate the mornings, on top of school being very much a deciding factor on me liking mornings or not. Oh, potato. Nice. So I started hating the mornings, right? And, ouchie. And it wasn't necessarily because I couldn't get up for school. It wasn't necessarily because I was tired, even though I was. But I just wasn't a morning person from the get-go. And fast forward a few years, and I became more of a day person when it came to school because I just didn't like having to do that type of work later in the day. And I realized what had happened was that I like doing my creative work later in the day. I don't like being creative in the morning. In the morning, I want to have nothing in my head. I want to be thinking about the most mundane tasks I have to do in the morning, and then later in the day, I want to be able to just go, think of my YouTube video, think of my ideation, and even create the content. And then after realizing this fact, I read somewhere that most creative people, or should I say creatively intelligent people, I don't even know how to phrase it, but most creative people like doing stuff during the night. And then people like bankers and accountants who do more like structured, specific work that has a very specific way to be done, those people are more the morning people. And that started to make sense to me because you would always see, like, I know a lot of people that are the 5 a.m.ers, right? Or the 6 a.m.ers, and they all seem to work those types of jobs. And of course, most people can't choose to wake up later than a certain time. I'm sure most people would, but that's more of a product of being lazy, I would say, than actually being a creative individual. But it might not be. In any case, the point I'm trying to make here is trying to fix your sleep schedule to fit what you want to do in life. Because right now, I'm lucky enough to have a job that doesn't necessarily require me to be awake or asleep at any particular hour as long as I get my stuff done. So I could technically wake up at 3 in the morning and work till 7 in the morning or till 8 in the morning. I don't know exactly the math I'm doing. Which would be a very stupid schedule to have because nothing is really conducive with waking up and going to sleep between those times. But you understand what I'm saying. Fuck! Okay. What I was going to say before I was rudely interrupted by Mr. Creepy Boy over there was that try and figure out your sleep schedule, but figure it out for yourself. If you're a night person, try and find a job that suits you for the night. Try and take a night shift somewhere. If you're a day person, do the day shift. If you are someone who is creative in the day, find something that you can do at night so that you can then fuel your creativity during the day. Or if it's the opposite, do the opposite. But make sure you have a schedule. Make sure there's an actual consistent way that this is happening. Because right now I'm starting to feel the effects of setting my own hours and being a freelancer. There's no one necessarily telling me what to do at what time. It's more of you have 2 weeks to do X. And by having 2 weeks to do X, I find myself at a particular issue of not consistently going to bed at the same time, which can be a severe problem when you set yourself a schedule, because I'm a very organized person, or at least I'd like to think I am. For the most part, I like to set a schedule, I like to get things done at a certain hour, and I find that it's increasingly difficult to do that when I have literally no actual specific time I go to bed. Sometimes I go to bed at 2, sometimes I go to bed at 4, sometimes I go to bed at 12. These are all in AMs, of course. But it allows my creativity to shine in ways which it normally does not. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today. If you struggle with sleeping like I do and are a chronic insomniac or someone who just doesn't find that they sleep properly or they're not doing the sleep schedules the way they're supposed to, find a sleep schedule that suits you and try and stick with it. I know it's harder. It's very much easier said than done. I'm a hypocrite of my own advice. I don't take my own advice in this particular case, and I wish I did, because it would make my life 10 times easier and more productive and more efficient. Try and become a sleep-organized person. That's what I'm going to call it. Sleep-organized. Organize your sleep in a way that suits you and fits you. So yeah, that's all I had for today's little rant session. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. And good night and good luck, everybody.